What's up, babes? I have bad news. I was unable to finish all of Wano in a single week. I was cooking through it. We're at about chapter 1000 right now, but we still have about 50 more chapters to go. So instead of that, the next time we get a break, I'll go ahead and present what I think of the entirety of the arc. It is definitely much smoother reading the whole thing all the way through. Um, but you'd be surprised how quick the first two acts are. They're so fast. They're so fast, especially the first act. They just get done very quickly. The third act includes the flashback of Odin and the rest of the raid on Onigashima, which is like a huge chunk of it, like about 80 chapters or something like that. Um, but when I was reading the flashback, I was thinking, and I was like, there's something I can make a video on. Deaths in One Piece. Now, everyone harps on One Piece for not having a lot of deaths. And the reason because of that is nobody dies. Nobody seems to die when they're gonna die. And it's just not something that you see a lot in One Piece. People that were supposed to die. Hell should be dead. Half the Shandorians should be dead. I could keep going, but a lot of more people should have died at Marineford. There should just be more death in general in the show, right? Right? More people needed to die. Don Quixote do Flamingo should have killed way more people with his birdcage than what seemed like happened. And nobody ever seems to die. Now, at first, you could see this as a gripe, and I'm somebody who kind of likes, death and like kind of the finality of it and just kind of the importance it has to keep viewers on their toes. But One Piece being the peak of fiction, can I really harp on it too much? And the more I looked into it, the more I'm like, okay, we're getting to the end here. Some people have to die in crucial moments in order for us to understand the full scale of what's happening and what I believe to be the final war arc of One Piece. Some people think Usopp's going to die because he needs to become a brave warrior, and in doing that, he'd be able to fulfill his destiny of becoming that brave warrior. Can't really tell you if that's going to happen. I'm not entirely sure. If I had to bet on it, I'd say probably not. Knowing Oda, probably not. But then I thought, I'm like, okay, Odin's death. Odin's death plays a ginormous part in the entirety of Wano, in the raid, and in other characters moving forward. So does Pedro's. Obviously, so does Roger's, so does Ace's, and so does Whitebeard's. All of these deaths play such a huge part in shaping the characters that we have today that I can't even give Oda too much crap for not killing people. Because I'm like looking through it and I'm like, okay, let's see who died. Let's see who died during like which arcs, and let's see like kind of what was the importance there. Roger started the story off by dying. The biggest death in One Piece, you can't really argue it. He affected everybody. Just about every single character that you see is affected by Roger in some way. Whitebeard's death was awesome and amazing, and it affected people once again to take their chances on the seas and try to find the One Piece because it does in fact exist. Ace's death. Do I need to say anything more? It's going to affect the main character of the story and everybody kind of surrounding him from that point on, where they understood the motivation to grow during the time skip. Mary's death. That's kind of a weird one. It's not really a character, but you can't tell me that that character didn't die and that it didn't leave a long-lasting effect on the crew. So everybody's death means something. Queen, and I get this wrong, Othium, Shirahoshi's mother, she died, and that had an effect on the entirety of the Fishman Kingdom, the Ryuga Kingdom, all of it. So I'm thinking, okay, so then that's why Oda doesn't kill people, because unless it has a long-lasting effect, it's pointless. Yasui, what I was just reading, Mr. Smileman himself, the old daimyo of, I forget his province, but of Wano. Could have been Hakuba, but I'm not 100% on that, even though I just read it. There was so much going on. His death sparked a lot and allowed them to change the port, and even though they got super lucky, his death was very impactful to the samurai. And even though we don't get as big of a look onto the samurai in Wano as normal, these deaths have impact, and they always have impact no matter who it is. Pedro is another one that I'm kind of missing, but these are all kind of the main deaths of everything. You know who else should have died? Bon Clay. And the fact that Bon Clay didn't die is kind of like, why not? Like, why didn't you kill him? Maybe it's because you didn't see it having a long-lasting effect at that time. Like, how many people am I going to affect with such an important character's death? And it just really wasn't going to happen. So then this brings me to the big question, and the main reason I'm bringing this up is moving forward. Are we just assuming that most people aren't going to die anymore? Is everyone safe? Is that what Oda wants us to feel coming into this last war arc? Somebody has to die in a very pivotal moment in order for Luffy and the crew to have motivation to finish out their saga and finish out their story, or to save the world. Because the more I'm reading about this and the more flashback, especially that Oden flashback, so important, vital, and an amazing part of the story, there's a gigantic power out there that I think that they're going to have to come to blows with in order to defeat, in order to save the world from whatever that ginormous power is. Because Wano, now in rereading this isn't the review yet, but I'm just saying in reading this, they sunk or raised the country, whatever it was, to protect from the gigantic power, to protect the entirety of Wano, and to isolate themselves from what was happening during that time. Have to assume it's the Void Century, but that's not made clear. So who dies in the end? I have to think Shanks. I have to. I don't see another person playing a role at that point that's such a deep death. And even recently when we saw Shanks, when he was literally just entering the manga to advertise Film Red, which I find hilarious, because I don't think we're going to see Shanks for some time now. But literally just to advertise, he said, "Are you scared of the next generation that much?" And I think that's a great point. I think that Shanks has a lot of things leading up to this. I think when we finally figure out what Shanks is truly about, that his death is going to impact us maybe more than any death has before. Debatably, even Roger. But like I said, Roger kind of started this whole story, so it's kind of tough to compete with that. But what did Roger say to him that made him cry? And is someone like Shanks a part of this era? And even though that he is, I kind of see him as being somebody who ushered in the new era, and he's not really a part of it. He kind of played his part in the past, and he's kind of just the bridge to what is the new era, to these new people that in this Oden flashback, which I'm telling you, reread it. It's very, very important. To the Sea King saying that all these people are going to be born that are going to like have this great power in order to usher in a new part of the world. And he's like, okay, then I'm not that guy. I'm not that guy, but I can help usher in these people into this new world that they're gonna do. So the reason I think Shanks is gonna die is I think that it's gonna have such a deep impact. I think someone like Sabo dying would kind of be another brother scapegoat. I'm like, you can't kill them both. Like, you possibly could, and you would think that there's gonna be a lot more death leading up into this last finale of One Piece, but I don't think so. I think that Oda really sees death as a motivator for the living, and just to kill people for killing people's sake isn't really his move. Do I think that more people need to die at the end of this? Yes. But do I think that's going to happen? Not really. It doesn't mesh with what Oda's been doing this whole time. Everybody's death has motivated somebody else to accomplish something. Whether it be Pedro and the Minks, Oden and the Scabbards, Yasui and the Samurai of Wano, all these deaths are an inspiration to the people that follow them. All these people die in such a miraculous fashion that everyone follows suit. Everyone understands to come to terms with what they need to do. And that's another thing, is the way that Oda kills people is it's always in a miraculous fashion, always. So for the final war to happen, is there a lot at stake here for miraculous death possibilities? Absolutely. But I don't think that anybody's death is going to be as miraculous as Mr. Shanks. How that's going to happen, I'm not sure. When that's going to happen, I'm not sure. But I think it's going to happen. And I think it's going to be the biggest motivator that Luffy has had at this moment. And I don't think that any member of the Straw Hat crew really is going to die at the end. And Usopp kind of only being the question mark there, where it is possible that would happen. And if Usopp died, that would be a huge motivation for Luffy. Obviously, just don't see it happening. I think Shanks is going to bite the bullet, and I just don't know when that's going to be. But I know it's going to be in miraculous fashion like Oda does. That's all I have for you guys. Next week, we get a chapter. Very excited for it, because I think we're going to get Sabo on the phone. And then next time we get a break, I will be reviewing Wano. Which, reread it, because it's very tough to go chapter to chapter, week to week, and really kind of get the full grasp of what's happening, because I forgot a lot. They connect a lot more than I would have thought, but because it happened over like 4 or 5 years, it's kind of tough to connect some of these ideas that Oda was working with. But that's all I have for you guys today. Peace out. Have a great weekend. I'll catch you later.